Hi, everyone. My name is Antoine Mackenzie Plez. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, coach, and consultant here in South Florida. I specialize in grief and trauma here in my practice, and my practice is 100% virtual. But that is not what I'm here to talk about. It was just on my heart this morning to give a really quick talk about harsh self criticism and sort of where did that come from? Who does that belong to? So I like to tell a lot of stories. You guys will learn that about me as you get to know me a little bit better. I'm going to start off with telling this story about a guy that I knew. This is not a client or anything like that. This is in my personal life, a guy that I knew. So there's this guy who, by every measure of success, I would consider super successful. Um, Also, by every measure of success, I think most people consider him very, very wildly successful, actually. Um, this guy, I mean, owned several businesses that were all doing very well, had his hands in several different pots. Um, was just so involved in not only business endeavors, but social and media endeavors, and just really had his finger on the pulse of what was going on in the world, and really had some really good things to share and say. Wrote books, just the whole 9 yards. Super, super successful. So naturally, the younger me, who was really kind of motivated by being successful, reaching goals, and all that kind of stuff, I was naturally attracted to this person. And I was like, I need to know this person. I need to get into his circle. I need to learn from him. I need to sponge up as much as I possibly can about this super successful person. Well, in getting to know a little bit more about him, I wasn't really very close to him. I just kind of started being in those circles with him, and so I started to learn a little bit about his practices. And when I tell you that this guy's schedule on a daily basis was insane, the number of things that he did during a day, in the span of a day, was just really insane. And I often wondered how in the world he managed to actually live life um, while doing those things. Anyway, that was one of the first things I picked up. And then as I got to learn a little bit more and more about him, I started to recognize what sort of his mantra was about life, business, and success. And his mantra was, nobody's going to work harder than me. You may be smarter. You may be more well connected. You may have more things aligned with your goals than I do. You may be more organized, but nobody's going to work harder than me. And so my younger self thought, well, clearly this is the mindset for success. I mean, look at the results. This guy is super, super successful. So if I want to be successful, now this is my 20-something mind. If I want to be successful, then I need to adapt that mindset that nobody's going to work harder than me. Well, I did, and you'll learn more about that part of my life in another video, but I'm going to keep this focused on him. What ended up happening with this guy was that after years and years of living by that mantra and living that lifestyle of go, 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 nobody's going to work harder than me, he ended up having a massive stroke. I mean, a massive stroke that debilitated him for some years. And to some degree, he is still recovering from that. I shared that story to say this. We have to monitor the unhealthy scripts that play in our minds about self-worth, about purpose, about work, about life, about relationships. Those thoughts have to be monitored. We can't go through life with unhealthy scripts playing in our minds, because what those things do is often it sets up a thought process whereby we just become super critical of ourselves. We have to be mindful of the expectations that we set for ourselves. Are they realistic? That's the first question. Are my expectations realistic? Can I really do 15 to 20 things a day and make that sustainable? Right? So that's the first question. The second question is, are they kind? Are those expectations that I'm placing on myself compassionate towards myself? Are they kind things to expect of myself, let alone anyone else? Is it okay that I feel that I don't deserve a break, or I don't deserve personal time to just enjoy living life unless I have met all 10 of these things on my to-do list every single day? So is it kind? And thirdly, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, the third question is it sustainable? Are these expectations that I'm placing on myself, is working 14, 15 hours a day sustainable for me? Is going to bed every night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then being back up for work a few hours later, is that sustainable for me long term? Is that going to be good for my health, my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health? Is it going to be good for my business? Is it going to be good for my relationships? Is it sustainable? And so when you ask those questions, if you find yourself kind of leaning on the negative side, like, nope, it's not realistic. Nope, it's not very kind. No, it's not really sustainable. Then you're probably dealing with some very harsh criticisms as well, right? We can be so hard on ourselves. We may be telling ourselves that we don't have any self-worth unless we experience the kind of success that we've imagined in our minds that we experience. That's a huge indicator of some harsh self-criticism. Once you recognize that, here's a question I want you to ask yourself. Who does that belong to? Where the hell did I learn that? Who in my life taught me that I should have this kind of relationship with myself? That I should always be judging my self-worth based on the things that I do and accomplish? And then conversely, what does that mean? Does that mean that if I don't accomplish these things, I have no self-worth? Where did I learn that from? Was it a parent? Was it another family member? Was it some adult, some teacher that I really looked up to? Where did I learn that from? Because that's not the essence of a child, right? And that's where we learn so much of how to get through life and how we do life, is we learn in those first 5 years. So that's not the essence of a child to say, well, my self-worth is about how many things I can get done. That is more than likely something that was imposed by the adults in our lives. And that's not to say that the adults were bad people, right? It just gives us something to work on, right? But asking that question, who does that belong to? That idea, where did I learn this harsh self-criticism? And if you can figure that out, you're halfway there. Where did I learn it? And you know what? If in asking yourself that question, if the answer is, I think that's mine, then when? When did that start? When did you start to believe that your self-worth was predicated on how much you accomplish in life? And there begins the healing process. All right. Of course, the conversation needs to continue. And there needs to be some work toward how do I undo that? But I strongly believe that we are empowered to make positive life changes once we become more self aware and we understand what's happening. And so, counseling, coaching, processing it out with a good, insightful friend or an insightful mentor can be super, super helpful in stopping this behavior. Because I will promise you one thing, it does not end well. I can tell you from personal experience, it does not end well. It ends in very, very poor health outcomes on every single dimension: mental health, emotional health, physical health, and spiritual health. Running yourself ragged, not practicing self compassion, not practicing self care, placing too many demands on yourself has severe health implications. And so, if you're noticing those harsh criticisms, those impossible expectations showing up in your life, and even if it's not starting to create or wreak havoc for you right now, recognizing that somewhere down the line it is, I strongly recommend that you get to work on unpacking that. And that can absolutely be done through professional services, or it can be done through some really good self-reflection. Guys, my promise to myself was that I would not do a super long video. It's already 12 minutes, so I'm going to say goodbye. This was really fun. I'm hoping to do a little bit more of this. I'm kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone with this, but I look forward to doing more of these. Light and love always.